China's military is secretly developing biological weapons that they're disguising as civilian research, and they're doing this in places like the Wuhan Institute of Virology.
Quote, Chinese researchers successfully clone rhesus monkey, marking one more step to a human clone. I'm Stephanie Keith.
And I am Tara Manjakovic. And we are unapologetically outspoken.
Hey everyone, so we've been talking a lot about the border lately, and we're just going to switch gears for today. We have not done a good China update in a while, and by good, I mean scary. And there is a lot of really creepy shit going on behind the scenes in China right now. So I'm sure we'll have some border updates on Friday, but today we're going to share some of the more recent things going on with China. So first thing, the Washington Times reported that according to a recent report by the CCP Biothreats Initiative, China's military is secretly developing biological weapons that they're disguising as civilian research, and they're doing this in places like the Wuhan Institute of Virology. And these are not like last resort weapons that are going to be reserved for extreme circumstances, but instead they're intended to be part of the CCP's, quote, standard order of battle, end quote. So according to researchers, the objective of these covert programs is to weaponize biology for human genome editing for soldiers, for genetic manipulation of bacteria, and for the use of human-computer interfaces that seek to control populations. So the report states, quote, these research programs are not obscure moonshots. They are core strategic focus areas that are designed to be utilized over the near term and within current state strategic circumstances, such as in Taiwan. Any breakthrough in this dual-use research will provide unprecedented tools for the CCP to forcibly establish a new world order, which has been President Xi Jinping's lifelong goal, end quote. So the report gives a hypothetical scenario based on known existing CCP research programs where Chinese forces genetically immunize their own troops against a specific weaponized strain of bacteria that they then introduce into Taiwan and disable Taiwan's military, thereby eliminating resistance and allowing the Chinese army to achieve total control over Taiwan. And the U.S. State Department's most recent annual report on compliance with arms treaties also claims that China is suspected of conducting this dual-use civilian military research with direct applications to biological weapons. And according to the State Department, this quote raises concern.
Yeah, that sounds very concerning. And my first question is, why is the Wuhan lab still in operation? Like, are you kidding me? And then my second question is, what the fuck? Like, why is the United States funding it? They are still sending money there. And then the third question is, where is Fauci? Like, he totally fell off the radar. That man should be in prison right now. I haven't heard about him in a while, but this is so concerning. And then, you think like, okay, attacking the military in Taiwan, it's not going to be contained there. It's going to spread all over the world, just like COVID did. Very concerning.
Yeah. And that's when Fauci is going to come back into play because it's going to
right.
the whole disease X thing.
Mm-hmm.
And here's another thing. Like I was reading an article that came out in news last week, KNEWZ, and Chinese scientists are claiming that they've created a special type of ammunition that's meant to be fired from an electromagnetic gun. And this ammunition can basically curve its trajectory and continually change and adjust its flight path based on navigation signals that it receives from the Beidou navigation satellite constellation, which is owned and operated by the Chinese National Space Administration. So this bullet has reportedly been developed by scientist Feng Zhenghong at the National Key Laboratory of Electromagnetic Energy at the Naval University of Engineering in China. That is a mouthful for a university. But according to the South China Morning Post, this advanced dream bullet can travel at Mach 7 speed. It can cover a distance of 8,200 feet in a single second, and it can maintain an error of 49 feet until striking its target. And this technology seems pretty intense because when a bullet's fired, The receiver can endure a force that's more than 25,000 times that of Earth's gravity. So this team of scientists that worked on the project created an aerogel that they can use as a thermal barrier. And it's apparently like totally cost effective and they can easily mass produce it. And then on top of that, they came up with an algorithm to ensure that satellite communication remains uninterrupted while the bullet's traveling. And they're doing this to counter the bullet swaying erratically during flight, especially when it's altering course and varying air densities. Like, this sounds crazy to me. But apparently, this advanced ammunition was first brought up by the US Navy back in 2012, but the project was shelved in 2021 because they weren't making any progress on it. So now, apparently, China has developed it instead.
What in the actual fuck? Like, this is like a sci-fi movie. I mean, it's almost like you wouldn't believe it. It's just crazy. Um, and remember last week when I mentioned how OpenAI quietly changed their policy and they're like removing the restrictions on using AI for military applications? Well, according to an article in Interesting Engineering, China is using something very similar to ChatGPT in their military to try and predict what, quote, potential enemy humans might do. And the article basically goes on to state how how humans are pretty much like irrational morons whose judgment is clouded with bias and, persistent beliefs. And so AI would be better at making decisions. And like this is scary because this is a slippery slope. I could see this getting out of hand very quickly.
Oh, definitely. Because China has already established itself as the global frontrunner with their AI developments, especially when it comes to military applications and nuclear warfare. And Express.com reported that another one of China's new developments is stealth camouflage technology. So, what this does is it can basically enable cruise missiles to mimic the radar signature of passenger planes. So, a few weeks ago, the South China Post reported that a team of Chinese military defense scientists have created a plasma-based energy shield composed of electrically charged ions, and they can use it as like an invisible veil to protect Chinese drones, missiles, and other military equipment from high-powered microwave attacks. And the technology is being described as like something out of Star Trek or Star Wars. And according to the research team at the State Key Laboratory of Pulsed Power Laser Technology at the National University of Defense Technology, it's a low temperature shield based on Tai Chi principles. And when attacking electromagnetic waves come into contact with these changed particles, they can immediately absorb the energy of electromagnetic waves and then like turn into a very active state. So the article says if the enemy continues to attack or even increase the power, the plasma will suddenly increase its density in space, reflecting most of the incidental energy like a mirror. So basically, what this means is the plasma's resistance grows stronger with each escalating attack. So not only is China developing technology to conduct high-powered EMP attacks, but they're also developing technology to protect their military forces from an EMP attack. Like, we are literally living in a science fiction movie. And according to a report by the US Space Force, China's already in possession of weaponized satellites that they've sent into space under the guise of being inspection and repair vehicles. And reportedly, these satellites are so well disguised that they make counter space tests or hostile activity difficult to detect, attribute, or mitigate. And the US Space Force report also states that China is developing lasers capable of permanently damaging sensors on US satellites.
Great. And once again, China, lasers, Maui. I can't help it. My conspiracy brain is like on fire right now. Here's one for you. China successfully cloned a monkey last week. The ABC7 headline reads, quote, Chinese researchers successfully clone rhesus monkey, marking one more step to a human clone. Like, what? What? They actually wrote that in the headline. And I didn't realize this, but it turns out that this team has actually cloned monkeys before. They cloned two monkeys, and after that raised 5 to healthy adulthood. Tara, did you have any idea there were animals being cloned in China? Because I sure did not.
Does it surprise you though?
No, it does not surprise me, but it still freaks me out. And I mean, clearly, this is a stepping stone to cloning humans. And honestly, like, I think it's already happened. I'm fully invested in the conspiracy that Britney and Kanye are clones. Like, I mean, these celebrities, they disappear and then they come back and they're 3 inches taller. Their voice is different. Their teeth are different. And like something just feels off. And I mean, it sounds crazy. Like, I know that, but yet they're cloning monkeys successfully. And like that's just what they're telling the public. So just imagine what they're up to behind the scenes. You know what I mean? And I don't know if you've heard this one yet or if you've seen pictures of Lloyd Austin. Remember how we said he like disappeared and like no one knew where he was at? For a couple weeks he had surgery. Well, he came back and apparently, and I looked at a photo, it's not the same man. Like he looks totally different in every way, like shape,
What?
features, his weight, he looks thinner, uh, totally not the same guy. So everyone's like, he's a clone. So it sounds crazy, but yet, like, I think it could be happening. I don't know. I'm just saying.
I would not be surprised. Like, yeah, I yeah, I don't even know what to say on this one. That's just I guarantee you it's already happened.
Oh,
But
yeah.
here's a crazy one too. So the Daily Caller reported last week that Chinese scientists quietly launched a huge underground lab 2,400 meters below the Jinping Mountains in southwest China a few weeks ago. And why? So that they could study dark matter. It's called the China Jinping Underground Laboratory. I guess it first opened back in 2010, but it didn't become fully operational until December of last year after the second major phase of construction was completed. So it is now the world's largest and deepest underground facility. Stephanie, are you familiar with dark matter?
Yes, a little bit. And it's actually pretty fascinating. So dark matter is thought to be the glue that holds like the structures of the universe together. And it's this mysterious substance that can't reflect or absorb light. So it's never been directly observed, but yet they're saying, just depending on, what article you read, that it accounts for anywhere from 80 to 95% of the mass of the universe. So it makes up the majority of our universe, yet we know like hardly anything about it. And it could be the key to unlocking secrets of the universe. So I know they're doing this at CERN. And honestly, anything that they do at CERN is highly concerning, in my opinion. So it's making me feel like our adversaries are much more technologically advanced than we are now that China's doing this and building this huge facility. And, it's just like our country's worried about pronouns while China is learning the secrets of the universe. Like, we need to get our priorities straight. You know what I mean? Like, this is just out of control.
Yeah, they're playing with dark matter. They're building invisible plasma shields. They're cloning. Like, there's some serious shit going on here.
Yeah, like they're literally like making a sci-fi movie, but it's real. It's very concerning because I doubt that we're anywhere close to that. Oh my gosh. Well, this episode was fun. I feel like, we've taken every sci-fi movie that I enjoyed as a child and put it into what's happening realistically in the world right now. So my inner child's super excited. My adult mind is thoroughly terrified though. So there's that. But if you guys enjoyed this episode, share it with a friend, and we'll see you back here on Friday. Thanks for tuning in. If you're sick of all the crazy shit going on in our country and you want to express your support and patriotism for the show, head on over to our Etsy store at UO Patriot Chicks and check out our new stickers. The link can also be found on our website. If you love the show and you want exclusive episodes, support the podcast and join the conversation by becoming a member of our Patreon community. We'll be posting weekly member-only podcast episodes and content that isn't available on the weekly podcast. Every Patreon member will also get a free Unapologetically Outspoken sticker and updates about our new sticker release before they're made public. And be sure to follow us on TikTok at Unapologetically Outspoken. And if you haven't done so already, please rate and review the podcast. The more you support us, the more people we can reach. So help us spread the word.